And welcome to the Marketing, Branding and Getting the Sales show. I'm here with my co-hosts, Stephen and Jessica. And apologies, we're a couple of minutes late. I'm afraid that most of the contents of my cup of tea went all over my desk. So we will quickly do introductions, and then I've actually got a special thing that I'm doing today. Last week, I actually went and had an exhibited at the Chester Business Show. It was brilliant. I met loads of amazing people, and I had a free prize draw. So I said I'm going to draw the winner of who has won a free seat on my 5 Steps to Double Your Profits workshop. So that's valued at £297, and they get a free place. So we'll do that in a moment, but just so that people know who is here today, let's quickly do some introductions first. So Stephen, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Lerman. I own a company called Chameleon BDS Limited. So I do appointment setting and cold calling and prospecting for those people that don't want to, don't like to, or don't have the resources to do so in-house. And I am so very delighted to be here today with you guys.
Fantastic.
And I work with businesses to make them more profitable through customer loyalty. So I've got a 6-step brand loyalty process that I take my clients through, and it works towards increasing customer retention for your brand, getting more people coming back for more, so you can increase your profits and get your marketing a lot smoother as well in the process.
Fantastic. Okay, great stuff. And yes, just for anyone who's wondering, Gordon, thanks for saying it sounds good, but he's on a call right now. Yes, you can actually watch this replay. And in fact, if you're watching live, put hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching later, put hashtag replay in the comments. And we are happy to come back and answer any questions that that we have. By the way, today's topic is how to have an even better winning mindset in your business. Such an important thing. And it's really interesting. The most successful people, this is what they often focus on. I mean, all the strategies are great, but the best strategies in the world aren't going to help compensate for anything over that as well. Okay, so let me just quickly bring up, I have here something I prepared earlier, which is, I just need to share my screen.
We should have prepared a drum roll, shouldn't we?
Yeah, some sounds around that would be absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So, okay, let's have a look at this. So all I need to do is click the spin button in the middle, and it is going to pick a winner for us, which is, I think, is awesome. All right, so let me just do that. So yeah, let's have some drum rolls kind of going along. I can't do that and click at the same time, so let's click the spin. All right, here we go. Oh, it makes sounds for us. And the winner is Sam Flynn. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Brilliant. It's only hilarious because I know Sam, but at least you all now know it wasn't a fix. So Sam, that's great. I will be in touch with you to arrange for you to come along on the next workshop. So brilliant. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so let's get back to our topic for today. So how to, and by the way, actually, just before I do that, just to say, I'm going to be doing this again. I'm also exhibiting and speaking at the Northwest Business Show in Bury on Thursday, the 25th of November. So do feel free to come along and say hi on the stand, come along and chat to me, come and experience a talk. I'll be holding the same free prize draw. So if you want to have a free place in the workshop, get yourself down there and get entered into it. Okay, so to our topic today, how to have an even better winning mindset in business. I think this is something that just cannot be underestimated. Yet for so many people, it's not necessarily top of mind. So I'm just curious, like, Stephen, what's your thoughts on this? What's your experience around it? Do you hear people talking about this apart from like coaches like myself? What's your views?
Around mindset, having the right mindset. So for me, all I get is when I'm talking to people about promoting my businesses, that they don't feel they've got the right mindset to do it. You know, whether they approach it from the wrong angle, or they think it's just a matter of going out there, like as if you were doing it face to face, like knocking on doors and saying, "Do you want to buy my things?" You know, in my line of work, it's not really about going out there and selling. It's about the right mindset, in my opinion, is about going out there and wanting to help people, and that I think is the biggest problem. That people want to go out there and just sell, and that's not the right mindset to have, you know, in order to be successful, in my opinion. People have got to take a step back and look at exactly what is it they're trying to achieve. So obviously in the back of their minds they're thinking, I want more business, I want to sell stuff, but the ultimate gain is to help the other person. So for me, it's taking yourself, removing yourself from the situation, looking at what exactly you're trying to achieve in order to help them be successful. Does that make sense?
Oh, we can't hear you, Una.
You're on mute, Una.
I know, I'm muted because there's still tea dripping off my table. I thought people might hear the dripping sound. I think it stops now. Anyway, yeah, absolutely, that makes sense, Stephen. And I'd like to broaden the discussion, actually, because you know, obviously we're very focused in our weekly conversations here. We're talking about, you know, this selling and the sales process. So we're talking about marketing, we're talking about branding. But actually, I want to take, you know, I want us all to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and look at also different stages of business and what kind of mindsets are required for each of those. Okay, so and actually I want to start with the bigger businesses and you know, and those business owners and leaders there, because you know that's still applicable for the smaller business owners. Okay, and with those business owners, they're pretty much kind of, well, we know how to get customers. Usually we know how to get customers. They tend to have different problems. So it's not necessarily about, you know, oh, where do I find leads, or how do I convert those leads into paying customers? You know, to get to the size they typically have got that nailed to at least some extent. But they have different challenges, and you know, a lot of this is around leadership. So it's about actually hiring, and not just hiring, it's about hiring the right people. It's also about firing the wrong people, and you know, any kind of, should we say, I mean, they're not always rotten apples. Sometimes someone just isn't a good fit, either culturally or from a skills point of view. Yet if they're left in the business, they can actually have a hugely detrimental effect. And yeah, just the whole thing about being able to delegate effectively and to really lead. Okay, so to actually inspire. And I think the mindset, you know, that it requires a different level of mindset to be able to do those things. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that is because I speak to a lot of business owners that are in that transition phase where, you know, they're growing their sales and they get to the point where they get too busy. And maybe they're outsourcing a bit, maybe they even have a few team members. But they're still the ones that are making all the decisions. They're the ones who they actually end up becoming a bottleneck in their business. And so it's actually, mindset is a huge part of them shifting out of that. Now, whether they're kind of really growing the first team or teams, or whether they're now at a level where, okay, well, actually, we have multiple teams and we have a senior management team, but are they actually letting them manage or are they still too much in the day-to-day? So I think, you know, part of having an even better winning mindset in your business has got to be knowing when to let go. Now, I don't mean like just abdicating and kind of just dumping stuff on people, but there's really a process kind of in doing that I think business owners need to go through a bit of a mindset transformation in order to make that happen.
What is it they say, Una? The art of good management is delegation. But like you said, it's having the foresight to know that you need to change and adapt in order to grow. because if you've still got that small town mentality, you're never going to be able to jump to the next level. So it is about having the right mindset or attitude or openness to allow other people to grow in order to allow the business to grow. But I understand what you're saying about firing the right people or hiring the right people and firing the wrong people.
Yeah.
You might want to keep hold of somebody because they've been in the business for ages, but they may be detrimental to the growth and future success. So it's not simple, and just because you're a bigger company and you've got all these other people surrounding you and you've got a leadership team and or a senior management team, it doesn't get any easier. I think it becomes more complicated.
Well, but here's the interesting thing. There's this transition period, and on the other side of that transition period, actually things are way easier. But unfortunately, people start experiencing this transition period and often go, oh, this is too hard, because maybe they don't know who they're supposed to hire, or they don't know how to hire great people, or they don't know how to keep those great people and have them be engaged and have them be effective, have them be, doing what they're supposed to do, and actually really freeing up that business owner or business owners to be able to focus on the high value things that only they can do at this point in the business. And so quite often that's what I call the kind of the loop of doom, that I call it. And it's basically where somebody starts expanding and they start taking people on, but then customer service drops. They end up having to they're managing them. They're often redoing work and things because it's not been done in the right way. Now, this is often because they haven't hired in the right way and they haven't delegated and maybe don't have systems and processes and all that kind of stuff. And so they end up worse off than they were. And so they end up firing those people and they go back, but then they get fed up doing everything again. And they often go through several loops of this. Whether that's just in maybe hiring one or two people to outsource to, or whether it's actually, bringing on, proper employees. Well, I say proper, I just mean, like actual employees as opposed to freelancers or contractors. And so mindset is a big part of this. Leaders have to shift out of, they have to shift out of trying to do things for cheap or for free and actually really look at what needs to be in place in order to make this work, and actually being able to be prepared to invest before they need it. And this happens a lot with business owners, whether it's, okay, the business owner starts getting a level of success and actually maybe they need to invest in order to be able to get to that next level. Okay, but they feel, oh, when I get to that next level, then I'm going to invest. It's like one of my favorite analogies. If you imagine a log stove, you don't sit in front of a log stove and go, when you give me some heat, I'm going to put some logs on you. It doesn't work that way. You've got to put the logs on first. So, and quite often we need to change our mindsets and start doing other things first in order to get those returns. So a lot of business owners will say, oh, well, I don't know, I can't afford to do this. And so there will be a point where they can't not afford to do it. Now, they need to make sure that what they've been doing so far is actually right for their business. Are they charging enough? Are they managing their costs properly? Have they automated as much as they can? Have they, spent some time putting some systems and processes in place? Or maybe they need to hire someone to help them to do that. So it's, it is complex for sure, Stephen. But actually, I think business can be a lot easier than people think when they put these things in place. What's your thoughts, Jess?
Just how much of a continuous thing it is to be working on and looking at and considering and touching in with, your mindset when you're going through any of them situations that you've said and going through any of the solutions that you've said. It's not just a tick box exercise. We've done it, right? Okay, we'll move on to the next thing now. It's something that you're always checking in with. And for me, you know, I'm a one-man band. Anyone that I work with, I outsource. So for me, a lot of my mindset blocks or something when I know my mindset is getting in the way, sometimes there's a personal reason as well for that. So again, there's not separating business and personal life, you know, and for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, it would be different. But for me, in my experience, I've had to really look at both of them and kind of think, okay, how are they influencing each other? What changes can I make to, you know, to move on to that next stage? Because like you said, it's when you get to that stage where you're ready to transition, you're ready to go into the next level, but something is stopping you and something's holding you back. And I've been through that personally. And a lot of the businesses that I talk to and a lot of my clients that I talk to get to that level as well. And then that's when all the fears come from it, isn't it? That's when we start, you know, fear, that FOMO, we get a big fear of missing out, you know, and when we have them fears and we're fueled by them fears, we're focusing on other people, we're focusing on competition, we're focusing outwards, when really mindset is all about reflecting, looking back, looking inwards, whether that's within yourself, whether that's in your organization, whatever that is, you know, and tackling it from that angle. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just so, I think this is what I'm saying, that is just so key. And people, I think a lot of one of the things we put in the description is this is more than confidence. So quite often people feel very confident in who they are and their abilities. And so they think, oh, I don't need to kind of work on any mindset stuff because, you know, I'm okay. But then they often don't know that they could be sabotaging that next level by not making that investment in their business, by not taking that leap. Now, I'm not saying you ought to take risks that could sink the whole ship. You know, you want to look at the details. You want to get the expert help that you need in order to do that, whether that's, you know, accountants, financial planners, business coaches, whoever it is that you need to help move forward. It's just that thing of actually becoming aware of, actually, yeah, I have experienced that loop of doom Una talked about, or I have experienced that resistance that Jess just mentioned, and I didn't realize that actually that is mindset stuff that can be changed. Now, sometimes that requires people doing some deeper inner work. Sometimes it's just actually becoming aware. You know, fear is really all about the unknown. So what is it that you need to make known? Is it about having a pathway of how to do this? What are the steps that are involved? Is it, you know, having a better idea on your numbers? Is it about making sure that you've got that client attraction and conversion engine humming along so that you know, I'm going to be able to make that payroll? Or is it about, actually, I need to learn how to delegate better because I'm paying for a team, but I'm not utilizing them properly, you know, and this happens a lot. So yeah, that's kind of the hiring, the delegating, the leadership, actually inspiring people. Like, you know, do you have written plans? Have you shared those with your team? You know, are they inspired by, you know, the purpose of your business and what you're looking to do? And this is even more important than ever as you have younger people coming through the workforce who their view on work is so different than like our parents' view on work was. You know, like our parents was like, you were lucky to have a job. And, you know, that's not how younger people think a lot of the time. You know, they are looking to be inspired. They want meaning in their life. And often they are more concerned with, you know, they're just as concerned with the life they lead. They have no intentions of spending all their time at work. So flexibility is key, you know, having purpose is key. So yeah, I just think there's some things there that can help people really elevate from having a good mindset that's helping them, you know, have a good business and, you know, have things ticking over, but what's required to get to that next level.
Do you know what I'd love for you to share, you know, if you will, because I think this would be some great advice for people. Because what you were saying about, you know, all the different angles that can be triggering mindset, all the different blocks, you know, there's so many things that it could be. But how do people find the right help? Because it's so overwhelming, isn't it? Everyone's got their marketing message. Everyone's shouting at you. Everyone's saying,
Yeah.
what I offer will, is the right thing for your business. And most of the time they're not. Most of the time they are. How do you know? How do you pick the right people or talk to the right people to get to the root cause, especially when it's mindset?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And it's very hard for me to answer that without going, come to me. So here's what I would say is, I've had a lot of challenges personally and in business in the past, and doing deeper mindset work, which I think sounds scary to a lot of people, but it's when you've got the right approach, it isn't, because you're not worried about opening up a can of worms that you're then not going to be able to put the lid back on. When you've got a tool that works to shift the patterns that you don't even know are there, your patterns of thinking, your patterns of behavior, your patterns of how you feel, when you're able to shift those, oftentimes without even really noticing, like the amount of times it happens with clients. So I used to do this myself, but I now collaborate when I have part of my team is specialist mindset practitioners, who use the tool that I'm referring to, with my clients, and I make that part of. So basically, people who are doing my group coaching or my kind of private coaching, they all have these mindset sessions, and it just makes such a huge difference. Now, I'm also talking about mindset as part and parcel of when I'm working with people and helping them through these steps, whether that's from, as a small business, they've got to overcome the issues around visibility. They've got to overcome the issues around pricing, around over delivering, around setting personal boundaries with people in their life, both work and, at home and friends, family, etc. So all of those things kind of will help people to get to the point where they're now ready to hire. And then we start, looking at the other things that we've talked about, as well as, of course, money issues, self-esteem issues. All of those things can be really enhanced as well. Not the issues, but the opposite of those issues. So that I've made that part and parcel of it, because I had too many situations where I would help a client to do things. I remember one client, I helped them to double their revenues in 6 months. As soon as their accountant told them, hey, in the last 6 months, you've doubled your whole year's revenue, they unconsciously, having no idea they were doing it, they started self-sabotaging. Right. So when I next spoke to them, and they'd been away on holiday, and then they got ill, and I knew there was just something. I just knew something was going on, because they weren't booking in with me. And so when they did have a session, I said, so how are things? And they said, oh, Una, it's terrible. I've lost these clients and this has happened. And so I was saying, all right, so have you been doing X, Y, Z? No. Have you been doing this? No. Have you been doing that? Oh, no, Una, I forgot about all this stuff. I don't know what's happened. Well, I knew what happened. It was their mindset. So they had immediately started self-sabotaging themselves.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So obviously mindset, we're talking about business and being focused and being open-minded and being open to new suggestions. But there's another side of mindset as well, which is, kind of where I feel I look to for not stability, but bit of grounding, is the humor side of mindset. Being able to laugh at your own mistakes, and not take everything too serious, because at the end of the day, we don't, got this the right way, we don't live to work, we work to live. Right? So we should always try to keep a humor element in everything that we do, to keep our own sanity. Because business can be stressful, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing it all yourself, like we're all doing. I mean, I'm new to this party, but as far as being an entrepreneur, but you ladies have been doing it for a while. I mean, it's tough when you're on your own, and you can pull your hair out. Look at me, I'm bald. So, it's good to, just take a step back and be able to laugh, keep your sanity as well. Don't you think that's important, as well as everything else you said, which is extremely important on a serious side? But you also should be able to keep that humor, be able to laugh at your mistakes and know where you've gone wrong and say, oh, right, so I'm not going to do that again. Because
Yeah.
you know what they say, laughter is the best medicine sometimes.
Indeed. And I think what's really interesting, I have what I call the trip test, where I'll ask somebody, so if you were walking down the street and you kind of almost trip, so you don't fall flat on your face, but you kind of almost trip, and there's people who've seen you do that, how do you feel? Right? And people's answer to that is very, very revealing. Because if they kind of go, oh, that was silly, oh well, huh, never mind, and they can laugh about it, and they don't feel embarrassed or stupid or like an idiot or any of the things that people often tell themselves that they are, great. That's a really good sign. The vast majority of people who answering that would be like, oh my God, I'd be mortified, or I'd be so embarrassed, or I'd feel this, that, or the other, I'm so clumsy. Like, they would immediately start talking themselves down, and so it's interesting. So the more that people get a winning mindset, the better they'll be able to respond to that trip test, because they would be like, well, why would I care I don't know who these people are. I'll probably never see them again. What do I care what they think of me?
Yeah.
What's important is what I think of me, and the people who I care about. And so yes, you're right. And the interesting thing is that the more winning mindset you have, then the more fun you get to have in the lessons that you learn, and kind of going, right. So rather than beating yourself up because you made a mistake, you go, well, that was interesting. Okay, useful learning. Let's crack on. And then there's also one of the things actually just popped into my head around this as well is, when we're talking about winning mindset, we're not talking about the I'm going to win at any cost kind of mindset. Now, there's a difference between I'm not going to let myself have excuses, and I'm not going to tolerate things that I'm not happy with in myself or the people around me or in certain situations. If something isn't working, I'll make sure that it's changed. But there's a kind of darker side of wanting to win, where it's really more coming from a place of actually not feeling good about oneself and feeling the need to prove. So they don't feel good enough, they don't approve of themselves, so they're looking for other people's approval, or they have to put other people down and they have to be the winner in order to succeed. Does that make sense? So we're not talking about tipping over there. There's this lovely place in the middle where you can be, where you can have a winning mindset, where you're focused, you take action, and you do what it takes with integrity, with honesty, with compassion, and with fun.
Excellent.
So, questions? The main thing that's coming to mind for me is how much, like, even with that example that you just said then, how much, even thinking of competition, thinking of winning, thinking of all these things that we probably think about on a daily basis, how much they're more focused on other people, but then how much that internal voice is putting ourselves down. Exactly like you said, that it happens, doesn't it? And it's okay that it happens, even we was talking about it now, there's nothing wrong with anyone, or, it's not that you're sabotaging yourself in a way that, you can't forgive yourself for it or anything like that. It's just understanding, isn't it? And it's just taking the time to reflect, taking the time to ask for the right advice. And yeah, just changing that focus. I suppose, what would you say, like, your mindset shift or focus shift, would you say that they're kind of a similar thing then?
Well, there are times when changing your mindset will change your focus, and where changing your focus will help to change your mindset. So I think they're two very interchangeable things. But I would say your mindset is, like people talk about having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So fixed mindset is where people are not open-minded. Some of the things that Stephen mentioned earlier, where they're not open to change, where whatever they believe now, that's the way the world is. Nothing is going to change. And whereas a growth mindset is where people are willing to learn, where they're actually willing to change their mind when faced with evidence and alternatives. And it's great because when you have a growth mindset, then you get the opportunity to have those aha moments, to have those paradigm shifts. And I see this a lot in my client work, where I'm working with people and we're talking through something, and then all of a sudden you can just see the penny drop and they just go, whoa. And from that moment on, they will never see the world the same way again. And because of that, then they will be doing different things or maybe implementing things that they haven't been. So I think there's a lot of correlation between mindset and focus, but mindset's really about that set of beliefs. It's about your worldview, whereas focus is where are you putting your attention.
It's like the effect of it, I suppose, isn't it? It's like the
yes.
follow on. Yeah. Similar
And
when you saying the fire and the wood, the heat. The wood
yes.
and the heat. It's a similar kind of thing, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, a lot of people go through life, and I used to be one of those people, by the way, where they go through life going, I never get any heat. I never get any heat. But they're not taking responsibility for putting logs on the fire. They're not taking those actions. They don't have that sense of ownership. And so those are the people who tend to, as time goes on, they get more and more unhappy and perhaps even embittered because, life's horrible and it doesn't work the way. And you have moments of happiness, but, overall, it's not that great. Whereas people with a winning mindset, they know they already really have that sense of responsibility and ownership about their life. Now, of course, bad and sad things do happen. That's a part of life. So it's not about being Pollyanna with completely rose-tinted glasses. It's also about understanding where to put your focus, because where your focus goes, that's where your energy flows. This is what they say. And if your energy is all directed towards all the negative in life, and for a lot of people who are consumed by the news, for instance, and I'm not saying you don't need to know what's going on, but there are ways of knowing what's going on without kind of being sucked into the negativity of the mainstream media, which pretty much seems to be designed to keep people in fear and in inaction. So, there's so much that we can take control of. And I just want to go back as well, because I didn't finish answering your question, Jess, about, how can people find the right people to help them? I think number one is, who do you resonate with? So there will be people that resonate with me, that resonate with you, Jess, that resonate with you, Stephen. So if you do, reach out. If you don't, there's loads of other people. Number two, you can ask for references. Absolutely happy for people to do that with me. They every now and again I'll have someone who wants to do that. Like, yeah, absolutely. My clients are always happy to talk to them. Number three is, look at what's their methodology? What are the results that they get? And actually, it's not just about, testimonials and case studies and things are always great to be able to look at. But I would also look at, do they know more about your situation, your problem, your aspirations than you do? So, like, certainly from a coaching perspective, whether that's like life coaching or business coaching or whatever it might be, I think really any service-based business, like, are they asking smart questions that other people aren't asking? That's a real clue that actually they probably know what they're talking about, because if they're getting you to think on your first points of contact, where you're going, oh, I didn't look at it that way, like that's a really good sign. But at the end of the day, I think you've got to follow your gut, and there's sometimes you might be attracted to work with somebody, but now isn't the right time, but someone else is right for now. But don't confuse that with fear. So sometimes when it comes to people investing in themselves, they doubt, are they worth it? They doubt, am I capable? Like, this person's amazing and they get all these great results for their clients, but can they do that with me? You know, again, like, this is actually where mindset can come into it. So they can actually not invest in where they actually would really benefit, because they're concerned that it might not work for them, or that somehow, whether it's a conscious or subconscious thing, do they actually deserve those next level results?
Yeah, I think we're following on that kind of topic of feeling worthy, feeling deserved. Something that I really struggled with when I first started out, and I know when I talk to a lot of people, when some of my friends start out as well, is imposter syndrome. You know, it seems to be everyone you talk to, you know, has had some sort of imposter syndrome at some point. I want to know your opinion on this, because when I talk to people about it, I'm very much in the mindset of I don't want to have imposter syndrome, and I'm working hard at not having it, and I'm actually overcome, you know, the past 12 months, 18 months, I've overcome it really well. But then I hear, well, everyone gets a bit of imposter syndrome, don't they? It's normal to have imposter syndrome. It's, you know, it's kind of common. Everyone feels it. But do they? You know, do you have to always feel imposter syndrome? You don't. No, thank you. But again, it's how we're kind of wired, I suppose, isn't it? How we've been brought up, who we're speaking to, what we're soaking in. They become false beliefs, do you think?
And I want to make a key distinction. There's a difference between how we're wired and how we're socialized and conditioned.
Yeah.
Okay. So for instance, right now, it is fantastic that there is a lot more focus on people's mental health. What I'm not so keen on is so many people saying, oh, well, everybody suffers anxiety. Everybody has imposter syndrome. It's like, you know, please don't put that on me. You know, actually, everybody doesn't. And many people are, with the right help, can actually get rid of those things. So I've experienced those myself, and many of my clients have as well. So with the right tools, the right people to work with, you know, you can definitely shift a lot of this stuff. Not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time you can. You know, what a lot of people call anxiety and imposter syndrome is actually a normal part of the process of change. So, but they often get stuck and don't move on because they don't know that, or they don't have the right support, and because they stop themselves, and then they end up being kind of stuck in it, and they often, you know, are feeling that. So just as the way that there's a kind of, you know, the 5 stages of grief, there's a similar kind of change graph, okay, that people go through. So yeah, sometimes it is about, people do need to do work on that inner stuff, but there's many people who, you know, they don't have imposter syndrome. And actually, a lot of the people that do have imposter syndrome, like, here's the thing that I think is really funny, is you can only have imposter syndrome if you already are achieving things.
Yeah, what a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay? If you feel you have imposter syndrome, it's because you've actually have got awards, you have got that job, you have got that client, you have achieved something, but then, you know, some part of you is doubting that, doubting if you deserve it, doubting if you're good enough, doubting, oh, you know, wondering when will they find out the real me, or if they knew the real me, they wouldn't like me, all those kinds of things. And the, you know, one of the biggest things I think for many people is that, who do you think you are? Voice that so many clients I know have had to get rid of that. So yeah, look, you know, I would say it doesn't apply to everybody. It does apply to a lot of people, but I don't like this sense of normal. Let me phrase, how am I saying this? I don't like this sense of it all. Do you know it? Blah, 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 blah. I'll get my words right, honestly, in a moment. This is because I've got so many thoughts jumping around in my head about this, right? So great question, Jess. So here's what I think about it, is that there's a difference between something being almost like a badge of honor, like being busy You know, people say, "Oh, are you busy?" Like, they don't ask, "Are you achieving your business goals?" They don't say, "Is your business working?" No, they say, "Are you busy?" "Oh, you are? Oh, that's good." You know, it's like, well, actually, you know, the more successful your business is, the less busy you'll be in many respects, or at least the more freedom you have to choose where you put your attention and your time. So
That's a really different way of looking at it, Una, and people don't normally think like that when they ask that question, do they?
no, and
Because you
it's
can be
easy
a busy
to get
fool.
caught up in it, you
Yeah.
know, very easy. And often when people answer that, I say, "Oh, how are you?" And they go, "Oh yeah, good, busy." And I always say, "Oh, not too busy, I hope," or busy on the things you want to be. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and it's the same with the imposter syndrome and the anxiety. Is that, you know, don't allow those to become part of your identity, because when something becomes part of people's identity, they often don't want to let that go. And sometimes those things becoming part of your identity is a means of self-sabotage.
Mm.
You know, some of this stuff is like so it's we're just not aware of it. Like something like 80 to 90% of what is going on in our brains, we have no idea. We have our conscious thoughts, and then there's all this other stuff that happens. And
It's
yet
so
it's the other stuff
fascinating.
that happens that drives us.
Mm. It is. It's so fascinating, isn't it? That subconscious mind, you know, what's happening on a deeper level. And, you know,
Yes.
just to briefly bring it back to what I do, because it's on the tip of my tongue now, you know, you're looking at all the, you know, the subconscious things and how you think and what, you know, how you want to react to things, what you want. We're all looking, this topic today is about us and concentrating on ourselves. But when you're adding value, you know, like Stephen was saying right at the beginning, when you were saying, you know, having a shifting mindset on giving value to people and, you know, not kind of wanting to do it for the money, but do it to give value. And you've got to understand how your customers, how your clients, how your audience thinks as well, and what's going on in their subconscious mind to help them have breakthroughs, you know, because that's what we all do, isn't it? We're all service-based and even product-based companies. We, you know, as entrepreneurs, we launch something, we create something, we sell something because we know it makes a difference. And we know it makes people's lives better and more enjoyable. So finding out, you know, what it is what patterns we can break to give that to people and give that joy to people. You know, that's just as important, I suppose, isn't it? When, you know, once you obviously look after yourself, looking at what your customers want and need.
Absolutely. And I think this is, of course, a big benefit is that the more we have a winning mindset, I think the more people are looking at, well, what's the impact that I can make here positively? How can I help my clients more? How can I help my team members more? How can I help everybody to be more successful, to be happier? And I think all of this has a huge ripple effect out into families, out into communities. And, you know, Anita Roddick said, if you think you're too small to make an impact, you know, then just imagine the impact of a mosquito in a bedroom. And, you know, we all make an impact, and it's up to us how much of an impact we make and how positive that is. And I think the more that we look to keep up leveling on a continuous basis our mindsets, then, you know, I mean, look, this is why that there are people, you know, there are business owners that pay Tony Robbins $1 million a year to coach them just on mindset, you know. So like they wouldn't do that if it didn't have a massive impact on their business. So, you know, I'm not saying you need to go to that level. Feel free if you got the resources to do it, and you know you're going to get that return, then great. I think it's just I've come across a few situations recently where people, some of them have kind of made, not necessarily just with me, but just, you know, some with me, some with other people, some totally different situations. But I just know it's that thing of people can feel, oh, well, I've done a load of personal development. I have a winning mindset, but are they actually going to that next level? And actually, this is something I'm going through myself right now. You know, I'm up leveling right now. And so I guess this is quite top of mind for me as well.
Talking about mindset, wasn't it Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right?
It was indeed. Yes.
So that just encapsulates everything. It's all about positive mental attitude. You know.
So yes, I
feel a butt coming along there.
Well, here's the reason why is that I think positive mental attitude sometimes can, funnily enough, have some negative connotations. And here's why is because and this is something we need to be aware of as well. And this is why I said, you know, bad stuff happens in life sometimes. And sometimes people can go, oh, well, you just have to think positively about it. And, you know, there are times when we need to feel things, we need to experience things, we need to grow through them. And sometimes people kind of having a blanket, oh, PMA, you've got to have a positive mental attitude. I agree, like 95% of the time, yes, that's going to be really helpful for you. Just don't let it kind of go overboard. I guess it's coming back to that Pollyanna thing of, you know, that we need to deal with we need to deal in reality, and yet also recognize that we get to create our own reality.
I'll take that. That's fine.
Faith as well as positive attitude, isn't it? It's fair.
Yeah, definitely. But I love that. I think, you know, Stephen, I think that's a great way to wrap up the show today. You know, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So, you know, I'd love to know what's your view on having a winning mindset, how much of a winning mindset you feel you have, how has that impacted things, or, you know, what specifically would you like help with around that, you know, then let us know. So yeah, I'm Una. I just realized I never introduced myself at the beginning.
What a great way to end by telling everybody who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm Una Doyle. My business is Creative Flow, and I'm a business strategist and coach. And I have a session that can help any business to uncover 50K or more in only 50 minutes. Right, let's wrap up for today. We will be back at same time next week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you as always. I think I just love these discussions. I think such great stuff comes out of them. It's really good to talk things through, isn't it?
Definitely.
Like the old BT advert. It's good to talk.
Unscripted is by far the best because you go off on so many tangents, but you uncover things that you wouldn't even think that are even relevant.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have a great way, Una, of pulling it all back together.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, if I was here on my own trying to do this, it wouldn't be half as interesting. So thank you both for showing up and asking questions and sharing, you know, your thoughts and views as well. So I think we can all give ourselves pats on the back.
Yeah. Something we didn't talk about, which I actually thought we would, is money mindset. You know, we didn't touch on it. So again, if anyone's watching and they want to, you know more about that, I'm open to a discussion about that. Let us know, because that we can talk for ages on that as well, can't we?
Absolutely, yes. Well, actually, I've been just because of holidays and things. It hasn't been every Thursday, but we are doing it again tomorrow. I actually do another show which is called Money and Mindset with Nazia Hack, who is a financial planner. So we'll be live tomorrow on wherever you're watching this. You'll see it there tomorrow. So we're actually slightly later tomorrow. We're at 2:15 UK time in the afternoon. So yeah, come join us.
Excellent.
Right? Great way to end.
We will say goodbye for now. See you next time.
Bye. Bye.